Welcome back. Having updated you with some insights into the Olympic performances from the judges' perspectives and perhaps what they can see, what they can judge, what's more challenging for them to see and judge, let's move on to the planet FEI and what's going on there. So the headline, and this was issued this week, FEI to convene stakeholder meeting to address dressage challenges. It's a pretty big challenge. The FEI will host a key meeting with stakeholders on the 1st of October 2024 to kick off in-depth discussions on addressing the challenges currently impacting the discipline of dressage. This meeting, which will bring together representatives from national federations, recognised stakeholder groups, including athletes, officials, organisers, trainers, and veterinary experts, marks the beginning of a broader strategy to develop a comprehensive long-term strategy for dressage to ensure the sustainability and growth of the discipline. Well, that to me says we're somewhat not quite as powerful as we thought we were if they're having to somehow dilute their power by inviting stakeholders to comment, which could end in stalemate because this is a very diverse group and they are admittedly trying to be inclusive, but putting them all together or putting the heads of the organisations together in one meeting, I can't see how they're going to bring about agreement because each of them as stakeholders has their own stake, their own agenda in the sport of dressage. But I'll keep an open mind. The meeting will also provide an opportunity to update the community on current and upcoming research and development initiatives, including the oral cavity study. Okay, so they're going to learn all about the horse's mouth. So I would be quite hopeful here that there may be some changes of the rules based on what they now know about the horse's oral cavity. And I hope that includes the tongue because they do have some catching up to do with us about this issue of blue tongue seen, photographed in horses at the Olympics and brought to their attention by their own veterinary surgeon who was attending the event. Our goal now is to collaborate closely with all our stakeholders to address the challenges facing dressage. Okay, so here, and this is only my opinion, the subtext here is we don't want to take all the blame. While many in our community recognise the urgency of the situation, yes, others may not fully grasp the critical juncture at which equestrian sport currently stands. Okay, so it's recognised that this is serious. While the FEI is committed to seeking collective solutions and fostering consensus wherever possible, the safety and well-being of our horses remain our top priority. Oh yes, let's see what you're going to do about the blue tongue issue. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that dressage is a discipline where the sport is conducted in a manner that focuses on the horse's comfort. Interesting words there, where the sport is conducted in a manner that focuses on the horse's comfort. Okay, so are they just saying where it's conducted in competition, where it's conducted behind the scenes at the premises of the trainers, riders? How are they going to police that? So whereas they can police what's happening at the competitions and in front of their own eyes, there are those who have said that they're struggling to police that. As the governing body, the FEI is prepared to take the necessary decisions to ensure that we are living up to our promise to be a guardian for our equine partners and to improve the standards of safety and care in our sport. We have shown in recent months that the FEI is ready to step in and take decisive action where the need arises. Well, I'd like to see all the examples of that. But to be fair, on the issue of abuse, the Vatican has failed for many years to deal with the issues of very serious abuse. And who has the power here? The law of the country or an organization facilitating an activity? Because what happened, from my understanding, in the Catholic Church, the individuals who were accused of abuse were removed and sent somewhere else, when in fact what they should have done was to remove them and send them straight to the police. In my view, those who witness or who are confronted with the abuse are just as culpable as those who deliver it if they turn their heads from it. And I know how distressing it can be to whistleblow, but it simply has to be done if you really care. And this isn't my major whistleblowing tale, but I was once attending a parish council meeting where residents were concerned about a proposed property development, and a vulnerable elderly resident stood up to give his opinion. A councillor on a committee of 8 individuals called that resident an a-hole for disagreeing with the development, and they began to rant, and the other councillors just sat in silence like it was a normal occurrence and acceptable for their colleague to rant at the villagers. And incidentally, the abuser was a property developer within the village, and it was in their interests to ensure that their own developments were approved. It did not seem to occur to any of their fellow committee members to step in and stop the abuser. Just a few words of perhaps, let's move on, would have stopped the abuse, but none of them spoke up despite having a duty of care towards the community they represented. So there's something psychologically numbing about being in that situation, but we have to just get over that and have a contingency for speaking up so that it becomes the norm. It was incredible to watch that incident. So I made a formal complaint, and somebody called me to gather evidence, which I had on film because I could see that a heated discussion was developing. So I switched my camera on. But the complaint went absolutely nowhere. It was too hot to handle. There was no evidence of any action being taken. So in my view, bystanders of abuse are enablers of that abuse if they say nothing. I believe little can be done about the abuser to stop them abusing. They know no other way. But the onlookers in a more rational state of mind could protect the abused. And I think that's how we need to approach it. The rational bystander can step in and do something tangible about it. As the sport evolves, we must adapt and find effective solutions to current challenges. Our success depends on the community's willingness to approach these issues with an open mind and work together towards common ground. Well, it depends who's at their stakeholder meeting, because I don't think many of them are going to say, oh, when our members engage in abusive training methods, can we please have them dealt with as harshly as you possibly can? No. And these organisations, in the main, exist to protect their members. much as they want to advocate for the horse. So unless they've got some hard and fast rules here that can be identified as abuse by the circulating public with their phones, for example, horses found to be working behind the vertical for more than a stride or two, that's an indicator that there's a problem. And horse trainers know it's a problem. So therefore, instead of having a marking or judging system that's similar to Strictly Come Dancing, where combinations are marked for artistic performance, there needs to be some markers, some indicators that we as the public can come along and say, hey, could you take a look at this, please? Because the abusers are going to keep on abusing. They are, in the main, unaware of what they're doing or in denial about it. So it'll be interesting to see what this common ground is going to be. But we know that a measure of it will be focused on the horse's mouth. The FEI introduced the Be a Guardian initiative in July, which calls upon members of the community to fully commit to their duties as guardians of FEI horses. Yes, let's give them some clear guidelines of when to send their photographic evidence in. Be a guardian is the central message, but it's too vague. Sorry, FEI, it's too vague. That unites the community around the FEI action plan that was developed from the recommendations outlined in the final report of the Independent Equine Ethics and Wellbeing Commission. The term guardian marks an evolution in the FEI's narrative of the horse-human partnership, chosen to better represent the human role in caring for horses and to underscore each individual's responsibility for ensuring welfare. Okay, so this is someone else's responsibility, is it? We'll look at a couple of those links.
We love our horses, and they are the reason why our sport is so exceptional and inspirational. But sadly, we have seen examples of horses being mistreated, and where horse welfare has not always been paramount for everyone involved in our sport. Now it's time we all stand up and take responsibility to ensure a good life for FEI horses. As the International Federation of Equestrian Sport, it's our mission to serve as the guardians of horse welfare, to lead, drive, and develop the highest standards of equine welfare in equestrian sports globally. The FEI has developed an equine welfare strategy, which includes a full action plan that will guide all of us in our daily activities, decisions, and delivery of our services to work towards providing horses with a good life, and hopefully also inspire and support welfare initiatives for all horses globally. We invite everyone involved with horses to follow us and share in the responsibility of being a guardian.
Okay. But before I go on to look into more about this Be a Guardian, I want you to look at the table of suspensions, where you'll see that most of the disciplinary hearings are about endurance. Only one hearing in 2022. But it seems we had a bumper year in 2023 for these hearings. And I'll come back to this one, because this was a Paris Olympics incident, and we'll see how that was dealt with. But we can see that Charlotte Dujardin was something of a reporting exception here. The horse is not named, I believe, because it's anonymized. There's no decision yet. And let's see what PR means. If there's no PR or horse name in cases involving minors and or fast track procedures. So perhaps that's a fast track procedure. Now, be a guardian. A fundamental reframing of equestrian care. With just days remaining until the start of the equestrian competitions at the Olympic Games in Paris 2024, the FEI has introduced the Be a Guardian initiative, which calls upon members of the community to fully commit to their duties as guardians of FEI horses. Be a Guardian is the central message that unites the community around the FEI action plan that was developed from the recommendations outlined in the final report of the Independent Equine Ethics and Wellbeing Commission. I'll have to come back to that. We've seen this film here. Set up in June 2022 in response to growing public concern over animal welfare, 2 years ago, the Commission was tasked with addressing societal concerns about the use of horses in sport and creating a blueprint to future-proof equestrian sports. Well, given what happened at the Olympics about blue tongue and no apparent action taken, it wasn't very robustly future-proofed, in my view. The Commission also provided advice and recommendations to the FEI to ensure equine welfare is safeguarded through ethical, evidence-based policy and practices. Well, what that tells me is that potentially they were unable to act on blue tongue because at that time there was no evidence to act on that suggested that restriction of blood flow to the tongue is harmful or painful or uncomfortable to the horse. What evidence do they need? It's a physiological occurrence. The term guardian marks an evolution in the FEI's narrative of the horse-human partnership, chosen to better represent the human role in caring for horses and to underscore each individual's responsibility for ensuring horse welfare. Well, in terms of each individual, in my view, abusers are out of control. They're unable to be responsible for ensuring horse welfare. This shift in terminology is not merely symbolic. It signifies a fundamental change in our approach to equine welfare, FEI President Ingmar de Vos explained. Well, I didn't see too much of a change because there were blue tongue issues and evidence at the Olympics, and apparently no action was taken. Guardianship precedes partnership and meeting the horse's natural needs, such as sufficient eating time, social interaction, and exercise. Well, no, it goes beyond that. Cultivates trust, enabling a thriving relationship between horse and human. I think they're sidestepping around the issues here, or were back in 2022. But then, to be fair, as we just saw on the table of suspensions, there, if I'm reading it correctly, or if every suspension has been recorded, there was a substantial increase in suspensions in 2023. A partnership emerges when this trust and a mutual understanding pave the way for sporting excellence. Well, what just jumped into my mind here was what I mentioned earlier about the the Vatican and priesthood. And to be a priest is to be revered for your commitment to the good of mankind. But the abusers within their ranks, I don't consider them to be priests. I consider them to be abusers that have got into a situation where they can abuse. And relating that to what's going on currently with dressage, that every dressage trainer rider has a question mark over their head. There are good trainers, there are ethical trainers, the majority are ethical, but abusers have been able to infiltrate the system. Through the concept of guardianship, our focus shifts to what is best for the horses, recognizing them as unique and valuable beings, deserving of human protection, trust, and respect. Yeah, well said. This evolution redefines the human role as that of a caretaker with a responsibility to ensure a good life for horses. Okay, so what do we do about the abusers? Because I do believe they are in the minority, and I don't believe we can just make the punishment or sanctions more harsh, because to the abuser, to be fined the cost of a posh pair of riding boots won't stop them, and neither will giving them time off or time out. So it's up to the FEI to ensure that they are not facilitating the abuse. So change of rules, make it easier for the public to recognise a sign of abuse or an indication, and give them a safe space to report it. How we frame the issue shapes how we solve it. Okay. By embracing the role of guardians for horses, we commit to acknowledging their needs, treating them with respect, compassion, and care, reinforcing our duty to these magnificent animals we live, work, and compete with. Yes, horses are vulnerable and they need protection from abusers, and to be provided with a quality of life that enables them to perform well without coercion. So lots of work to do here on many levels. The Olympic and Paralympic Games in Paris 2024 represent a significant opportunity for the equestrian community to further develop a culture of enhanced respect and ethical treatment within the sport. With a comprehensive approach to equine welfare, which includes aspects like transport, accommodation, veterinary care, and post-event support, Paris 2024 is clear about what is required to put horse welfare at the core of the sport. Oh, was it? For the first time at the Olympic and Paralympic Games, a position of equine welfare coordinator has been established, with Richard Cord, president of the French League for the Protection of the Horse, appointed to this critical position. Well, I wonder what his role was in advocating for the horses found to have blue tongue. He will offer advisory oversight on animal welfare throughout the Olympic and Paralympic Games, ensuring all stakeholders adhere strictly to FEI regulations. Well, what happened? Was he overruled? Did he speak? Did he miss the blue tongue issue? Even though there was photographic evidence and intervention from the FEI veterinary surgeon. What's going on here? The new appointment marks a significant advancement in centralising oversight that was previously distributed among stewards, veterinarians, and ground jury members. Okay, so they have jurisdiction over those other groups. What went wrong? Is it because they needed scientific evidence above a veterinary surgeon's opinion that blue tongue was an abuse issue, which according to their meeting on the 1st of October, evidence is on the agenda? The FEI Paris 2024 Organising Committee and GL Equestrian have worked together to prepare the venue with well-equipped air-conditioned stables, ample outdoor areas and high-quality footing in the main competition arena, the cross-country and all the training arenas, ensuring the comfort and safety of the horses. Yeah, brilliant. Special attention has been given to the seamless and comfortable transportation of horses to and from Versailles. Environmental conditions such as weather, heat, humidity and air quality are carefully monitored to minimise stress and maximise the horse's well-being. Stringent health monitoring protocols will be enforced before, during and after competitions to assess the horse's fitness and maintain their physical and mental health throughout the Olympic Games. Let's have that again. Stringent health monitoring protocols. Presenting them with photographs of horses with blue tongue. Following competitions, meticulous post-event care protocols, including adequate rest periods, will be strictly observed to aid horses in their recovery. Good. We cannot prevent every issue, but if we follow these rules and encourage everyone to take responsibility based on our shared values, we can work hard to further improve excellent standards of horse welfare, stated FEI President Ingmar de Vos. Well, what about the behind the vertical head positions that so many of the horses were seen to be presenting? It clearly states in the rules that this must not happen. But what did they do? Just deduct a mark or two? As we prepare for the Olympic Games, we are eager to display our sport's beauty and our dedication to caring for horses responsibly. Yeah, I come back to blue tongue. That's not very beautiful. Together, we are committed to ensuring that every horse at Paris 2024 receives the care and respect they deserve. Well, actions speak a whole lot louder than words. About the FEI, and there's a link here, which if you go to that link, it's mostly about updates of competition. You have to go to the inside.fei.org for the real concerns about what's going on. The FEI is the world governing body for horse sport recognised by the International Olympic Committee. Well, they can't be that impressed with this year's happenings, and was founded in 1921. Oh, so they've had 100 years to think about the horse's welfare. Equestrian sport has been part of the Olympic movement since the 1912 Games in Stockholm. Well, what went wrong? The FEI is the sole controlling authority for all international events in the Olympic sports of jumping, dressage and eventing, as well as driving, endurance and vaulting. Well, what probably has gone wrong is how much money and prestige and ego and the necessity for some perhaps professional competitors with a reputation to uphold and the pressure to win. The FEI became one of the first international sports governing bodies to govern and regulate global parasport alongside its able-bodied disciplines when paradressage joined its ranks in 2006. The FEI now governs all international competitions for paradressage and paradriving. This is worrying. This is worrying that they have apparently so much power, yet when you have a deeper dive into this, there's things going on in competition and in training that shouldn't be going on. I'm watching with real interest and following the Charlotte Dujardin abuse incident, which she has admitted to, which there is video evidence for, because I would hope to see a lengthy ban on keeping horses. I would hope to see, but I'm not holding my breath, I would hope to see that particular case handed over to the RSPCA for dealing with in the English courts. Now, I want to go on to the story about the Olympic rider listed in the table of suspensions. So from the Chronicle of the Horse, a detailed article about the suspension as on that FEI list. Well, it's easy to sanction on a doping case, and recall earlier how the FEI stated that they work closely with the International Olympic Committee. But doping evidence is objective. There's a system in place which involves taking blood samples of every athlete in the Olympic Games, and this is sent to a laboratory, and results are black and white. Either there is a banned substance found in the blood sample, or it is clear. With other aspects of horse abuse, with the exception of blue tongue, which is clear but denied currently, in my view, abuse is quite vague, so that a person witnessing what they believe or perceive to be abuse, they should be able to take out their phone or camera, photograph it, and there's your evidence. But as I see it, apart from when riding a horse lame, which is fairly obvious if there is head nodding, although there are other aspects of lameness and compensatory gait which could point to discomfort. But one of the things they can do, as they have the rule for hyperflexion behind the vertical, or evidence of hyperflexion and poor training, weakness in the horse, discomfort in the horse, is behind the vertical is easily recognized. So they can start with that. And yeah, it's unfortunate if a horse takes a few strides of behind the vertical, because I think perhaps one stride of behind the vertical may not be abusive as such, but a series of strides could be. But it's the same as for the show jumpers. They knock down a pole, it affects the marking of their performance. They can't just say, oh, well, my horse only just tipped it and it rolled off. Either the pole is on the ground or it is not. And show jumpers accept that and they train for it. One hopes ethically, but there's something about modern dressage. It's so subjective. It's marked the same as Strictly Come Dancing, and it's not protecting the horses from abuse. The FEI has announced the provisional suspension of Belgian rider Tina Magnus and her horse, Dier van Hecht Lichterveld Z, after the 10-year-old mare tested positive for the equine prohibited substance trazodone, which suggests to me is a tranquilizer rather than an analgesic. And I have quickly looked that up. Trazodone is an antidepressant medicine. It's used to treat depression and anxiety, or a combination of depression and anxiety. Oh, this is in humans, by the way. Trazodone works by increasing your levels of serotonin and noradrenaline so you feel better. It can help if you're having problems like low mood, not sleeping, and poor concentration. It's only available on prescription. It can make you feel sleepy And it's somewhat addictive. If you and your doctor decide to take you off trazodone, your doctor will usually recommend reducing your dose gradually to help prevent withdrawal side effects. This is just pure cruelty to horses. So it would appear that the application of this drug was to calm the horse. The pair represented Belgium at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, where the team finished just off the podium in 4th place. Incidentally, this has taken a couple of weeks to get through. This is September 5th, so a month for the test results to be released. An adverse analytical finding from one team member during the games results in disqualification of the whole team. Therefore, Team Belgium will be disqualified from the eventing team competition of the 2024 Games. The FEI said in a statement announcing the suspension, individually, Magnus finished 28th overall. Ooh, why would you give an eventer horse medication to calm it? And it's not as if this got into the horse's food or system unintentionally, because this would appear to be a controlled prescription drug, not the same as aspirin, or for example, if whoever was preparing the feeds, they had to take an aspirin themselves and somehow this got into the food. No. This is unlikely to be a mistake, in my opinion. But yeah, what a sanction, taking out the whole team. Yeah, sadly, this is what needs to happen. This is a really powerful, meaningful sanction that hits hard, and it's unfair on the team members who work so hard and who don't medicate for enhanced performance. So, in a statement posted on her social media and translated from Dutch, Magnus wrote, "It was with the greatest surprise and sadness that I learned of a positive doping result from my horse Dia during the Olympic Games." Oh, I bet it was. Together with the Royal Belgian Equestrian Federation and my team, we will look for the cause of this result, which is also very surprising to me. Well, did a medic for humans happen to be in the stable at that time and have a packet of this controlled prescriptive drug in their pocket and somehow knew which feed bowl to put it in? And what would be their motivation for doing that? It's all very curious. She goes on, "I assure you that I nor anyone from my team have ever used any form of doping." Well, did they get the blood samples mixed up? "I am a sportswoman who values honesty and will do everything I can to prove otherwise. I hope for your support and trust." Is she being honest? Is she being disingenuous? Did somebody somehow get hold of this substance and unknowingly place it in the horse's feed and present the feed to the horse? And yeah, maybe the horse didn't even need to be calmed. Or maybe the horse was depressed and anxious. I would like to know whether veterinarians can prescribe this drug. The rider has been provisionally suspended from the date of notification, September 3rd, until the FEI tribunal renders its decision. The horse has also been provisionally suspended for 2 months from the date of notification. Well, yeah, they can't really blame the horse. As a result of Belgium's disqualification, the US eventing team will move into 6th place. So yeah, it will be as if the Belgian team almost were never there. And it's just so sad for the other team members, because eventing takes massive effort and preparation to get a horse even qualified for the Olympics. And they did very well to come 6th. Now they're removed or eliminated. Thank you for your support, your likes for my videos, your subscriptions, which are free, by the way. You just get notified when on your homepage when one of my videos is published. And let's keep putting pressure on the powers that be to sort this problem out. Let's support them. As I said, it's not about bashing them. It's not about insisting on greater sanctions, because as it's been demonstrated within the information of this video, that sanctioning abusers, well, doesn't appear to prevent them or stop them from abusing, even on the world stage. So yeah, I hope that this meeting on the 1st of October can be about taking accountability that their power is limited, and that all of the organizations can agree that in abuse situations, let's start with physical abuse rather than, and leave pharmaceutical abuse aside for now, but that physical abuse can be reported to those who police the law in the respective countries,